It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. We are here once again to take a look at issues as it affects you and I when we talk about global politics on the international forum. My name is Wilson Marshall. Today it's all about the war between U.S. and Iran. Some call it the death of a top general, Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, while many others are saying that was an assassination and it was sanctioned by the U.S. His death, assassination, whatever part or side of the divide you belong to, one thing remains certain or sacrosanct. Qasem Soleimani is dead, and that is going to form across of this course today. When you talk about the impact, when you talk about the blowback, when you talk about the aftermath of this event, it's like a major event in the world. Anyway, after the news making the rounds globally, I and analysts will sit down and they're going to be sharing their thoughts and their opinions on what really transpired on Friday. Precise hit ordered by President Donald Trump. Before we talk about that, let's get straight down to Australia. You might have heard about the bushfire. Yeah, but thank God rain brings relief, but of huge blazes expected ahead in Australia. You've seen the footage on the news. Australian forests raging, inferno, billowing, destroying lives and properties. As in, it's massive. This seems to be among the worst they had so far in that great country, to the extent that fire service, some of their equipment were even destroyed by the inferno. Houses, properties, human lives also were even in danger because of this inferno, and they are trying their best possible to put it to an end, but it's like the fire just keep on raging massively. No amount of water you put in to quench the fire is having an impact, so to speak, in the inferno. But yesterday or early hours of today, it rained. Yes, it rained, and that brought succor to the ravaged forest. Forests, cities, towns, villages intertwined in Australia. And the firefighters are having hectic time curtailing the fire. But from what they said, despite the fact that it has rained, they're still expecting the inferno to continue. So when will this be put off completely? You get to see wildlife lost. You get to see people running to beaches for soccer. You get to see men and women scampering for safety because of the intensity of the inferno. Smoke here and there. You just can't see clearly due to poor visibility. Our hearts and our prayers goes out to Australian citizens. We just pray that this will put under control. Right now, let's move straight down to the Middle East, where U.S. troops have been rumored to leave Iraq, but they are saying that rumor is not true because they are very much in Iran. Yes, Donald Trump was the one that gave the order for the hit on Qasem Soleimani, and that led to a chain reaction that saw multiple targets on U.S. bases. It happened in Kenya, where 3 persons lost their life, and Donald Trump issued a very strong warning Iran that if any of American citizen is hurt or life is lost due to this, they are going to retaliate a non-appropriate measure, as in it is going to be massive as the row between U.S. and Iran rages on. How would this be resolved? Donald Trump saying that what he did was the right call because according to him, the report he got, the intel he got, that Soleimani really wanted to cause a third world war. And that is a rumor or the news making the round that because of the prevention measures put in place by Donald Trump, and Soleimani seems to be at the center of it, taking him out of the board will just bring that to an abrupt stop. But it's like tension is still escalating. Hezbollah reacting, Al-Shabaab reacting, and Donald Trump also made a very stern warning that they're going to crush, C-R-U-S-H, crush terrorism and terrorists wherever they may be found or located, even in Africa. Wow, it's getting more heated up, and our analysts will throw more light on that. Now, finally, in the news making the round, let's move straight down to Venezuela, All is not still well in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro is doing his best possible to make sure, that there is peace and stability, but the opposition, they are still making so much trouble. And 2 lawmakers claim speaker role in Venezuela. Think about that. I mean, 2 lawmakers, both of them, they were sworn in to show you how deteriorated the political situation in Venezuela is right now. You get to hear 2 speakers talking, trying to control the house. One on one hand, the other on the other hand, both giving out order, both conducting cities. So tell me, how can this lead to a peaceful Venezuela? Venezuela right now, after the demise of Hugo Chavez, it's not been the same. It's like Maduro is finding it difficult to operate in the capacity of Hugo Chavez, and he's not getting it funny. He's not saying anything that makes him smile. He keeps on accusing the West, accusing the tractors, accusing opposition, accusing activists for making Venezuela what it is today. And right now, they've taken the battle to the House. Paint the picture. 2 lawmakers claim speaker role in Venezuela. How can that democracy thrive? You be the one to answer that question. Right now, we'll go on a break. When we return, it is going to be all about U.S.-Iran row, and of course, the death of Soleimani. Qasem. Is it going to be the advent, the ending, or the beginning of the Third World War? We'll be right back after this break. Do stay tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, and we're here to talk about topical issues that affect you and I in one way or another. But this time around, it's all on a global scale. It's all about the U.S.-Iran war, the death of Soleimani Qasem. With you here in the studio, I have seasoned analysts that are going to share their thoughts and their opinion on what transpired on Friday and the aftermath of that event. A very powerful, strong event, almost the first major event before the fire in Australia that took place in the year 2020. With me here in the studio, I have a lecturer from Uniben. Join me to welcome Felix Qasem. Welcome to the show, sir. Appreciate your coming.
Thank you very
Happy
much.
New Year.
And wish you the same.
All right, so very close to Felix Qasem. Is a vibrant youth political analyst. Join me to welcome Alex Obe. Alex, welcome to International Forum.
Thank you very much.
And a happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
Right? So very close to Felix is a legal practitioner. Join me to welcome Barrister Henry Walzo. Barrister, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, viewers, and Happy New Year to all of us.
All right, Happy New Year to everyone. Now, nobody saw it coming. Nobody expected it to go down the way it went down in Iraqi airport, where a drone strike targeted the convoy of Qasem Soleimani, the one time, because right now he's late now, commander of the Iranian army, second to only the supreme ruler, and according to analysts and war veteran, it was a perfect hit, and that led to the death of a very, let me use the word, revered man in Iran. Barrister Henry Uwazo, what are your thoughts and opinion on what transpired on Friday? Talking about the assassination, that's what people are calling it, of Qasem Soleimani.
Well, from my own point of view, it is long expected because the crisis has been building up far back as 2018, and gradually everybody has been watching what has been going on in the Middle East, especially the role of Iran in building their uranium, building their nuclear weapons, as well as their ballistic missiles, which United States and others have tried one way or the other to ensure that they control their activities. But be that as it may, Iran has been trying to see if they can become the masters of the Middle East, ensuring that they control the activities and everything that has to do with those countries that are in the Middle East. They have provided everything you can think of. They have provided proxy forces. They have provided in terms of weapons. terms of everything that they needed to fight some certain wars that are going on, like in Syria, Yemen, and other parts of the Middle East. So at this point in time, America to claim that they have been watching the activities of this man, that there is every indication, there is rumors, there is everything tending towards him that he's planning to attack American troops that are in Baghdad, and also ensure that Iran becomes a superpower in the region, as it were.
All right, thank you so much for the opening when you talk about introduction of this topic. Now, Alex, he talked about this having planned a raid, that he saw it coming because of the activities of Iran. Don't forget also about the nuclear deal and the rumored link of Iran to terrorist groups like Hezbollah and its like. Were you surprised when it happened on Friday?
I think the whole world was surprised. No one ever saw it coming. No doubt Iran is a middle power. Not necessarily a superpower, but a middle power within the Middle East. Of course, we are all well aware of the general divide in the Islam world between the Sunni and the Shiites. So Iran is regarded naturally as the biggest Shiite power, also in terms of population. No one saw it coming. I think sometimes the reasons we got from the US seems to me like an afterthought, and we probably were all swept off our feet. We're really, really surprised, because when you check, technically, on paper, that man, after the Ayatollah Khamenei, is the second most influential person in Iran. The Iran's army is not necessarily like what we have in the conventional army. It was in charge of the Revolution Guard, which is
the corps.
Yes, which is the part of the army that are involved in foreign battles, spies, and all kinds of strategy and tactics, especially in promoting Iran's interest all over the world. And so you can almost say that taking out that man is the equivalent of taking out the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff of the US. So no one saw it coming. No one saw that kind of high-profile target, second most prominent man in Iran. So we're all surprised, and we hope it doesn't lead to something even more serious and severe for us.
All right, hope it doesn't lead to something more serious and severe for us. Sir Felix, sorry, I've been listening intently, and I believe that you've arranged your thoughts. Just flow with the thoughts. Let's see what you have to say about what went down on Friday.
The incident of this last Friday may be shocking to a lot of people, but to those who understand the dynamics of power in the international political system, it's not shocking. We are commonly swept away by tactical moves, that the immediate action taken. But there's a bigger picture. This is actually a strategic plan, because the rationalization that the American government is given now, that General Qasem Soleimani was orchestrating a major hit, and that this was a preemptive strike to prevent that from happening. It therefore means that the move made on Friday is one aspect of a series of events, some that have happened before, the one that is developing now, and the unforeseen future that we can project into that is about to result from the Friday incident. So, technically, it is a developing matter, or it is very interesting because a lot of people were shocked. Of course, normally you will expect that you will see forces, either the Marine or the SEAL, that they will be on ground to carry out such a strike. But this one was from the sky, the eye in the sky. And the American technology deployed here is shocking to a lot of people, because they are still wondering, how did it happen? You didn't see the plane. The drone that made the hit was far away in the sky, and it was a precision hit, and it got the target removed. So, on the average, what is America's calculation here? It is power play. This simply shows that the Americans are still very, very much in top form. This also is a setback for Iran. Iran is not out of the picture yet. The Iranians are very strong, they are very contentious, and they are actually a major force in the Middle East. They are also the only force in the world that openly contend with Saudi Arabia in the Islamic religion. Such group that is developing the capacity to possess nuclear weapons. If you combine that religious fundamentalist mentality that they have with their sense of martyrdom and with their drive to possess that technological capability, if you join the dots together, you will find that Trump's action is reflective of strategic moves made by great powers, or as you call them in contemporary time, superpower nations, to anticipate a threat, to either diffuse the threat before it becomes a manifest problem, or to allow it to fester to the point where it has to be diffused as a major conflict matter. So the development of Friday is a reflection of certain things that have happened. American drone was shot down by Iran. There has been no, we didn't see the response immediately. The American contractor that was killed in Iraq, we are looking at that point because Trump is now building up his own case. He's explaining his case.
Defense.
He's explaining his case. Then the issue of the attack on December 27th, 27th, on the American consulate in Iraq. So these are a series of events. And all this while, we didn't see the response. The response is showing up now. And the American intelligence world is telling us now that these acts could only have happened because they were properly planned and executed, and the person that is being fingered for all this is the person that has just been eliminated.
Oh,
there
right.
are Qasem Soleimani.
Okay.
So that is the picture that.
Okay, so it's like a roller coaster of events that climaxed with the elimination of Qasem Soleimani on Friday. One part of it. Okay,
it's one part of it. It's a major part.
It's a major part. Now, he talked about event that cascaded to what happened that Friday, talking about the elimination of Qasem Soleimani. He talked about the elimination of some Americans. That's what that Trump talked, hyped on. Now, if you take a look at the situation right now in the Middle East, there's this hue and cry, even from Iraq. Let's take a look at it from that perspective. Why is Iraq worried?
Naturally, Iraq will be worried. It's not like Nigeria, if there is problem in Cameroon or Benin Republic that are neighboring countries, as it were, definitely you will be worried. It's the same thing that is happening that bothers the people of Iraq, because if today the situation, the conflict, as it were, escalates, they will have refugees in their countries. Not only having refugees in their countries, their economy will equally be affected. The oil, because all these countries in the Middle East, they depend on the oil as their means of sustenance, as it were. And you know that the Strait Hormuz in Iran controls 30% of the world oil block. And if anything happens today, the economy of these countries will be affected. There will be high-level persons coming into their countries. The issue of these terrorists, as we are talking about, will equally increase, because certain persons will be ready to give up their life because of one thing or the other. So Iraq will be worried because the economy will be affected. Politically, they will be affected too. And everything that has to do with them as a nation will definitely be affected.
So everything will be affected in Iraq.
In Iraq.
Oh, now, is that enough to tell the Americans to call off their troops from Iraq? Though they deny, they say that their troops are still very much on the ground in Iraq.
First and foremost, you must understand that the government in charge in Iraq is the same sect that's in Iran, the Shiites.
Yeah.
So they've always had this form of alliance. The government in Iraq is technically backed by the people, the government in Iran. So there is this relationship between them. Of course, it's also decided that if your neighbor's house is on fire, you become worried because after that, yours might be next. But that is basically because of that. And so the government in Iran, they are pulling the strings already in Iraq. And so it's more like asking those ones to demand for the withdrawal of troops. So it's still politics still at play. And that's why the killing of this man is not actually, it's not the climax, it's even the beginning. And you know one thing about international conflict or war, we can know where it started from or where it starts from, but we cannot predict how it's going to go. And it has already started now. One of the major weapons the Iranian government is going to use is the use of process, like my colleague said, process, fighters everywhere, countries that align with them, militant group, terrorists. They know that they cannot face the US fire for fire. So what are they going to do? They're going to start with politics and soft targets. They will instigate problem here. If you cannot attack the US, you attack its allies. We must not forget that there was this major attack by the Houthi rebels in Yemen at the Aramco, Saudi Arabia, which caused massive production for Saudi Arabia as a country. That's one classic example of how the Iranian government can attack US interests all over the world by attacking its allies. So Iraq has every reason to be worried, considering the fact that the government in charge of Iraq is also from the Shiite sect.
From the Shiite sect, yes. As in the same sect.
Yes.
Now, you talk about this is like phase one of what may happen in the future. But now, a prominent man has been taken out of the equation. Do you see this destabilizing the military intelligence or prowess of the Iranian?
No. It's not going to destabilize their military capability. It's a setback, we agree. I mean, a human being has just been, let me use the word deleted, as they use the word in worry.
Okay.
It was just deleted. You remove somebody, the person has value. Yes, but you see, these are countries that have organized operational systems. So if you remove one person, the system will continue to function. It may be a matter of resetting the system to bring another person who may not have the same drive, but who will have the same policy position to follow. So the death of, the elimination of General Qasem Soleimani doesn't mean the Iranian military capability has been reduced. No, it's a system.
All right, now you just hold on. We want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue this discussion. Do stay tuned. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We had to go on that break. Now we are back fully. And mind you, you can follow us on our Twitter handle at ITVRadioNG, or you log on to www.itvradioNigeria.com/live to get to see what we're doing globally on Go TV, channel 107, Star Times, channel 130. Yeah, you see, you can follow me personally on my own Twitter handle at Omasho Wilson. We are taking a look at US-Iran row, the date of Qasem Soleimani, and we want you before had to take that break. Continue with your chain of thought.
Okay, so we're looking at the fact that the elimination of General Qasem Soleimani does not mean that Iranian military capability has diminished. That's not true. If in a way, if you can see the upsurge of national emotion across Iran, and it's on record that they've not had this kind of massive crowd in the funeral procession. So it is a rallying call for them. They are going to respond. America expects that Iran will embark on the path of revenge. Trump is also waiting for them. Trump has clearly sent a message to them too, that the elimination of Qasem is not the end of the matter, because he expects them to react. He's equally telling them that America is very ready. They have new weapons that they have just
they want to test.
And Iran is going to be a good testing ground. Wow. This is the danger of starting a fight you will likely not win. Now, in the theory of perpetual conflict, as it applies in international relations, nations always compete, they collide, and conflict results. it is not that you will find America obliterating Iran from the global map. No, they are not going to drop a nuclear bomb and wipe out all the Iranians, because such will not be possible. You cannot count the Iranians and say eliminate the Iranians. Whatever you do these days, because of technological advancement, affects everybody around. America has a lot of interest in Iraq. Whether the Iranians have fillers inside Iran or not, American interest in Iraq is very high. America has interest in Kuwait. These are countries fringing the Iraqi and the Iranian axis. The Strait of Hormuz, as our coach Qasem mentioned, is the biggest shipping lane of international crude oil shipments. So you cannot easily just run off that place. If America has started deploying aircraft carriers now to that same strait, the good thing is that America has a global reach, which is higher than that of the Iranians. The Iranians are capable of giving America enough irritation. Of course, we've started hearing that it's happening in Kenya now. Yeah. Even in Nigeria, there was protest in Abuja by the Shiite movement. And we've been reading reports that they are burning flags. Yeah. We are only hoping that they will not do the kind of thing Trump is asking them to dare him. Because Trump has a major character capacity that nobody should believe that the man will not do what he says. I have had reason to say this over time, that everything Trump promised to do before he won the election, he has done it. Yeah. And he's going to do more. So if Trump is telling the Iranians that we have amassed new weapons, we gladly bring them in response to any reaction you carry out, in as much as it affects American lives and American interests. The Iranians will not go into an open conflagration with America. They will not be that daft. They are very smart doing their own way. But they are going to give America enough headache over this. And the Americans are also telling them, we are waiting for you to start the headache. So it's going to be a long, drawn-out contest. But the good thing is that the EU has already started moving.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that, the presence of the EU. But now take a look at the reaction of Trump. Some of the opinion that he was too hasty and too rash in the elimination, or giving the order to eliminate Soleimani, that is causing more destabilization, so to speak, in the Middle East.
Well, to me, it is not. It might not be looked from that point of view, because if you look back to that 2018 when the warship, what is it called, that were attacked?
Seizure of the oil tanker.
Yes, even at the Gulf of Oman, 4 ships were attacked. He wanted to retaliate, but he never did anything. Again, in the Gulf of Oman, and 2 ships were equally attacked. He wanted to react, but he never reacted, because they were thinking at that point in time he wanted to react, but he never. At that point, he almost gave out an order, which later on he restrained himself and he didn't know. And then continuously other events begin to unfold itself, and the Americans, they have tried their best possible to see if those sanctions them, because what is even the problem? These things are things you should do, and these are things you shouldn't do. Okay, if you are saying to do this, these are the level at which you will go. But they equally discovered that the Iranians were also not being sincere with what the agreement they had, because that is the truth. Before even Trump pulled out from that JCPOA, because they equally discovered that the Iranians were not sincere in terms of the agreement they had. And for all the while, the Iranians have been looking at it that America has been putting so much pressure, because the Iranians are saying that our bones are breaking because of the sanctions that the government of America is imposing on us. There are sanctions virtually in everything as you can think of, both in oil, in shipping, in banking, in aluminium, steel, and all whatnot. But the essence of it that the American government is doing is to curtail those excesses which they feel that if time is not taken, that the Iranians can go to any length. Because looking at the background of their religion, because that is the angle I look at it, that Donald Trump is looking at the background of their religion, that these persons, they are not like other. If they say move, when they begin to react, it will no longer be the way you are looking at it. That is why the government is, US is saying that those are amassing of those weapons of mass destruction, uranium, as well as ballistic missiles, they should be controlled to avoid a situation tomorrow something happens. This will go the other way.
Well, now talking about nuclear enrichment that he just dove into. Now, there was a threat yesterday by Iran said that they've jettisoned the rules of the game that will keep enriching nuclear warhead, nuclear capability, that nobody is going to stop them because of what happened on Friday. Do you think that will aggravate the U.S. the more?
Okay, first and foremost, I would like to start from the angle of, I'm always very scared when there's too much power on a single individual. And I think that's what played out in the U.S. The powers and the ability of the U.S. president to declare a war or a strike is, without checks and balances from the Congress, is something that they must look into carefully. Now,
that's an executive order.
Yes.
So he has the right to do that.
Yes, yes. But, you know, sometimes there's a thin line between an executive order to eliminate someone's of direct threat to the U.S. in quote, and the beginning of the war, an act of war. Because when you order a strike to kill a general, the head of, the armed forces, the Revolution Guard, the courts, that is almost, in some cases, technically the start of a war. Yes? Not just when you kill someone who is a prominent figure in a particular country, can be interpreted by some people as generally as an act of war. But leaving that aside and coming back to your question of the nuclear capabilities of Iran, there was an agreement. There was an agreement during the Obama administration. Not just by the Obama administration, by the European Union, coupled with the Iranian government. And they got to a consensus. And the international community and the Energy and Atomic Agency investigated and saw that Iran had been keeping to its own side of the bargain.
According to a report, after a report was issued, there was another report that Iran has not been keeping to the side of the bargain, that they're even enriching.
No.
That was a report after the one you just talked about.
Before the coming of Trump as a president, there was an agreement. Trump unilaterally pulled out. If you had been following the events closely,
because of the evidence given to Trump,
not necessarily.
Yeah.
For whatsoever reasons, from whatever perspective they were looking at it from, but there was an agreement and there was a consensus as at that time, before the coming of the Republican government of Trump, that Iran was keeping to its own side of its bargain. There was that agreement. So this issue about Iran wanting to go back to the status quo started even before the strike. But this strike was just more like, made the whole situation even more tense. And coming about, it's very easy for us to say this, that. We know that the U.S. is a superpower. It has the capability. The economy of the U.S. is over 40 times larger than Iran. The military, the helicopters, the drones. But under what condition can we really say U.S. has won a particular war? Because, this kind of war, what is going to happen is that Iran is going to make use of the Spoilers Act. They are not going to follow the fire. There will be a series of activities. There will be a series of activities that nobody can know. Even the district command acting. Very easy. They can just start as a spoiler country. Before you know, economies of countries will be affected. They can also make use of their cruises. Saudi Arabia will become a target. Israel will become a target. All other countries, the United Arab Emirates will become a target. Dubai will become a target. So I think, yes, the U.S. has the right to defend itself, but I think they should be more circumspect in delicate issues like this, because we don't know where they will end.
Okay, you've heard him. Is he saying that Iran followed the agreement reached until Trump came into the scene and was about to pull out due to information given to Trump? But there was also a counter report that the Iranians are not keeping to the deal. Over to you.
When Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was the president of Iran, he addressed the United Nations General Assembly And he argued that Iran has a nuclear right. What he meant was that Iran, as a sovereign state, has the capacity to develop nuclear weapons. He claimed that right. And that's, even before Ahmadinejad came in, that is one thing they have been aiming to achieve. And that is one thing they are still intending to achieve. We cannot deny that fact. We can also not deny the fact that there is alternative position in power relations here. A more powerful state will believe that a less powerful state wants to displace it from its position. The less powerful state will believe that the more powerful state wants to prevent it from attaining the position. And there is never a vacuum in nature. Empires rise and fall. This is the era of American power and global supremacy. So, in every time in history, there has always been a state that is in dominance. In international politics, you don't moralize. You simply understand the permutations. What is going on in Iraq is that Iraq is contending, trying to make a claim for itself, which is its right. But we also understand that for every action, there is a necessary reaction. So action and reaction, as in Newton's law, are equal and opposite. If Iran wants to get nuclear capability, go ahead and try. But other states that have it will likely say, you can't get it yet. The reason is because Iran has, not even Iran alone, most of the states in the Middle East, they have this penchant of let us have it all or destroy it all. That is the fear. In fact, in international relations, they are described as irrational states. The stability mentality that they have is suspect. So it is as if you give a little child a loaded gun. You may say anybody that holds a gun is a dangerous person, but a child holding a loaded gun is disaster with it. In fact, disaster that is definitely going to happen. So the situation of Iran claiming that they kept to the agreement, that agreement, as soon as Trump came in, he brought out all the flaws in the agreement. A lot of people may not know that the period Iran and Iraq fought, it was the struggle for supremacy, and it was the American government that backed Iraq to make Iran eventually lose that war. But what they do not even really know is that America was the country that actually built Iran initially. These are all satellite states that now become capable of taking off on their own. Sometimes you want to hold on to the leash and say, no, don't go beyond this point. So the American situation right now is that if Iran becomes super powerful, America is Iran's first target. We've not heard Iran accusing Russia. They don't accuse China. They don't accuse Korea. You see, this is always issue of interest. Everybody has his own interest. So you will not also look at the Iranian side alone and not look at the American side. The Americans will say, but we have our own argument. These people, if they have this power, they are likely going to attack us. That's why I use the word preemptive. So if you can reduce that capability, at least keep them at bay for as long as possible, do it. That's what the Americans have been doing. They are not going to launch nuclear weapons into Iraq, as I said. Iran has enough proxies, particularly Hezbollah. Then the Houthis in Yemen. Then they also have different outposts. Al-Shabaab is in East Africa. Giving us a lot of heat over there. We are talking of ISWAP. Of course, they didn't really support ISIS, but we are getting some feelers that they, in a way, allowed it to run its course. Right. So look at all these arguments. Where do we head to? We are talking of organized violence.
Organized violence.
Organized violence. Sometimes state-sponsored. American government does the same thing. And that is the danger of not understanding what these people are doing. Each one is going to do the same. We talk of American power. If the Chinese have the power, they will do the same thing. Right. Russia, that is not talking right now. Russia has only given a statement, oh, America, you didn't act well. This is not in the best interest of strategy in the area. You are going to hit up the polity. You are going to make the Middle East untenable for a while. Russians will not attack America openly. Because if you ask, what direct Russian interest has been threatened? None. So they will stand back.
All right.
So look at all the arguments very well. Whatever America is going through with Iran today is going to happen if another powerful state has the same capability. That's exactly what they will do.
Okay,
It's
now
power politics.
All right, now there's this rumor of Third World War brewing. Saying with this action, there will just likely be a third world war. Barrister Henry.
It's not possible. I know of that. It's not possible that there are going to be a third world war. As events unfold itself, I know the EU, United Nations, and all will begin to look at the issues critically and objectively. Parties that are involved in the crisis as it is now will be called to a roundtable where issues will be addressed and tension will be reduced to the barest minimum for the interests of the world as a whole. Because the truth still remains that nobody for now, not even all the countries, notwithstanding what they are passing through, no country will want them that there should be crisis in the world as it is. Even Donald Trump himself has been preaching peace. And you can see that from his actions since he came into government, notwithstanding the fact that he decided to kill this general as it were.
No, he didn't kill him, he just gave the order.
Okay, well,
he just gave the order.
He decided to do the order otherwise. But for the major part of his time he has been in office, he has been preaching peace, and you have seen that from his actions in all the countries that have been having crisis. Even himself, he withdrew the troops from Syria, threatening withdrawing the troops from Iraq and other places. American soldiers that have been in other parts of the world where there have been crisis, you see him withdrawing them because he does not want to be involved in issues that borders on this nation. So I know definitely there's not going to be third world war. At the end of the day, these parties will be called to order, and what needs to be done will be done. And Iran, I know for now, because of what has happened and because of the caliber of the individuals that are actually involved, I know definitely they will not be happy. They will want to behave their usual way in doing things, but I know at the end of the day, tensions will come.
So there's no reason to fear the commencement of the Third World War.
There have no Third World War.
Alex, a Third World War scare.
What's a world war? A world war is a fight between two superpowers. And why? And in this case, I would call superpowers as countries that have the nuclear capabilities. And of course, also superpowers in this case, countries who have the ability to draw others to themselves. Because, you know, once there's a fight between two superpowers, you start seeing different alignments and all that. Okay? But we cannot predict where this whole crisis will lead to. I don't subscribe to the fact that very soon the United Nations or European Union will call people to the table and all that. The First World War started with the assassination of just an individual, one individual. We cannot predict where this may not necessarily spiral into a world war, but it could result into a proxy war, a deadly war, a war where there will be a lot of conflagration all around the world. So I think if this thing continues like this, also considering the fact that the people at the top are, should I say, a little bit irrational, or those with a lot of temper, that's also going to play a very big part in where this might lead to.
All right. And you're going to have the last line of this discussion. Third World War, is it lurking right now in the corner? Because it's like Iran, they have proxies. America also, they have their own allies.
We do not, I wouldn't want to believe that a third world war is going to happen right away. Not happening right away because in international politics, power is the currency and negotiation is the instrument. You reserve power. When you come to negotiation, you bring out certain elements of your power. There's no state that is totally powerless or useless in the international political system. Every state has value, whether superpower, medium power, lesser power, or even underdeveloped states. They have value. So when issues happen, states are bound to react. And you can actually say when a matter starts. You will not give an exact timeline to when it will end or how exactly it will end. So in this particular instance, developments are still manifesting, and as I mentioned just now, the EU has started talking, the British government has started talking. Of course, they will prevail on the parties. And who are the parties here? The principal parties here is the United States of America, President Trump, and Ayatollah of Iran. The two parties will still be asked in the long run, do you people want this thing to be an all-out war? They will definitely tell you, no. Each of them will tell you, we don't want war. Okay, what do you want? So in negotiation, it's not necessarily to reach an agreement, but to come to a compromise. So they will have to come to a compromise. And it gets to a compromise, you have to concede certain positions. The other person will have to concede. It is not a matter of what you are willing to concede. Because in the long run, in conventional warfare, yes, Iran cannot stand up to the United States of America. But Iran has a lot of leverage. And with the spread of information opportunity all over the world, even ordinary persons who are not militants, who are not, they can be radicalized easily by development. It's an emotional matter. Oh, this man was in a convoy and he was just snuffed out like that. And you didn't see who snuffed out. Something in the sky just dropped on him and he's gone. So anybody could now begin to say, oh, I could just be snuffed out like that tomorrow. Okay, let us go against people that are snuffed out. So it can snowball into something really big. But we also know that there's this sustaining capacity of the human nature. We want to survive. So the element of dialogue will come because words rule men. In the long run, after every conflict, they go back to the negotiating table. Diplomacy will still take its.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Our time is up. You've heard them. So keep it cool, okay? Nothing like third world war right now. For now, if it's well handled, okay? You've heard their wonderful analysis, bringing out facts, bringing out reasons why some things happen, and of course the aftermath of all this. The most important thing is that a general is out of the picture. What next for Iran and US? What next do you think will come up when you talk about the enrichment deal? Nuclear warhead, agricultural purpose, pharmaceutical purpose in Iran, or is going to be all warfare? We do not know. All we do know is that we keep keeping you informed about global happenings on international forum. Bye for now.